Well, it's Tuesday, and you all know what that means. As you know, every Tuesday we review what happened on NWA, but instead of having NWA Power, we have NWA PowerrrSurge with a couple of matches that were very interesting to follow. We even got AEW Dark that went almost an hour and a half of show, which some good matches along the way. Also, as you know, we're getting closer and closer to the next NXT pay-per-view, War Games. But the real question, what's who's going to be involved? We just got to find out until I review everything that took place. But also, I'm going to re-update a news update that it for all of you, which regarding of Yoshi promotion Actwres girl. It turns out that there's another thing. The reasons, um, basically, there's been a little bit mix up of what they're talking about. Basically, they're not shutting down completely, but I will review that statement coming from one of their wrestlers named Mari. So, let's get started with another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone. All things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So, let's begin with the National Wrestling Alliance with PowerrrSurge. It opened up with JTG taking on uh, Slice Boogie. I have to say the match was pretty good. It showed a lot of strength and character, but however, it appears that there's a bit of alliances with various people. Apparently, Colby Carino showed up and decided to distract Slice Boogie. It looks like he's in JTG's side, but there is one person who has a problem with Sal Renaro, and that person is none other with Kobe Corona. That is Sal Renaro. So basically, the match ended in a no contest. Basically, ref completely lost out of control. There was no winner. So what does this mean? Are we gonna see a tag team match coming up? I don't know, but it is kind of interesting how we are now seeing the situation. Our next match, we have Kiera Hogan versus Kenzie Page. It was a pretty good match. I mean, um, Kiera Hogan, as you know, she is currently, I think I heard that she signed a deal with AEW, but I don't know what's her situation with NWA. But she did pretty good. I mean, being in NWA, taking on Kenzie Page, but it was her who picked up a very good victory with a pinfall. Next up, we got Melina taking on Sky Blue. This is a really good match. We have the veteran versus the newcomer. You know, Sky Blue has been making headways all over Chicago, but anywhere that she goes, we cannot forget how she ended up in a casino battle royale one time, and it was pretty good. But however, it's the experience of Melina that made the difference to ensure her the win. As you know, she is in line for an NWA Women's World Championship match against Camille. Assuming this is going to take place on December 4th. But it was Melina who picked up the victory with an amazing submission. I was like, wow, pretty good. Next up, we got Black G's taking on Captain Yuma. Now, as you know, Black G's has aligned himself with Tyrus and Austin Idol. Excuse me. I don't know what's the significance of the match, but it was a pretty good. Yuma hold his own, but however, it was still too much for him to handle against Black G's, but Black G's knocked him out, and boom, 1, 2, 3, it was over right from the get go. Now, there was an exclusive content that they released in a situation that took place during by any means necessary. Trevor Murdoch was in a steel cage until this guy shows up. It revealed to be Mike Knox. If you guys remember him, he actually, I think he was in Impact Wrestling. He showed up and attacked Trevor Murdoch and walked out. Now, I don't know if this means he's targeting him for a shot of the NWA World title. I don't know. We'll just wait and see. Now, our last match is the number one contendership in a tag team tournament we have in the finals. The end consisted of Pero and Odison taking on the father and son duo, Hawks Airy, Luke, and PJ Hawks. I have to say, pretty good match. But however, I can see that the end are trying to prove that they are more worthy to become tag team champions. They have the tag team titles on their sights from day one. But will La Rebellion acknowledge it? I don't know. We just gotta wait and see on that day when it happens. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if this match will take place on December 4th, but if it did, it's gonna be one hell of a night. But that is it for now with NWA. Let's move on with AEW Dark. Okay, so we got AEW Dark. It opened up with Powerhouse Hobbs along with Hook taking on Jason Stiff. As you know, this match ended pretty quickly with Powerhouse applying the torture rack, and of course, Jason Strife or Stiff had no choice but to tap out. Next up, we got Andrade El Idolo taking on Jasi. Now, this was more like, to me, I like to treat it as a tune up for Andrade. Don't know what's next after him, but he continues to impress every one of us, and I think that's what is important. But he picked up a very good victory on this one, being who he is. Now we got the Pinnacle, uh, Sean Spears and Wardlow taking on Rennie D and Eric Cannon. Much of the match, it turned more like fun and games for Sean Spears, but however, Wardlow took matters in his own hands and allowed himself to pick up a very good, solid victory. But however, as soon as the match was over, Sean Spears decided to apply the C4, and boom, just like that, being the cocky that he is. Next up, we got Ruby Soho taking on Hyon. Pretty good match. Even Mark Henry pointed out that Hyon was trained by none other than Booker T in his wrestling academy that he has. And I think it was a pretty good match. But however, Ruby Soho, we all know she has her hands full in the title tournament for the TBS title. But right now, she took business handled well with Hyon with that amazing kick. And boom, it was over. Next up, we got Too Fast, Too Fuego, Fuego 1 and Fuego 2 taking on Kit Sackett and Brandon Brandon Gore. Man, I have to say I like this one move where Fuego does like the stomp, double stomp on the guy's head. He calls it shots fired, and I thought it was pretty good, but it was Fuego applying the DDT, tornado DDT, that ended right there with the 1, 2, 3. Next up, we got Dark Order, Alan Five Angels, and Colt Cabana taking on the Acclaim. As you know, the Acclaim are trying to get themselves back in the title hunt. Hopefully that was the case. They're number 5 in the tag team ranks. But however, you know they were going to use their little toys like the boombox or the chains to win. They did that on Alan Five Angels and on Colt Cabana and knocked them out, basically making themselves look good. Next up, we have Emi Sakura, the Bunny, and Nyla Rose being accompanied by Vicky, Lulu, and May. Now, keep in mind, folks, that Lulu is no longer here in the U.S. Apparently, she already flown off back to Japan. It'll be some time until we see her again. But if you want to see her more, go to Got to Move Pro Wrestling on their YouTube channel. You can check her out being there. I don't know when she'll make her Choco Pro return. I'm very excited to see that. But it was a good match, I have to say. She, these ladies took on Chris Satlander, Ryo Mizunami, and of course Emi Sakura's student Riho. It was a pretty good power match, But however, it was Chris Statlander who applied the Big Bang Theory on Emi Sakura. But the implication is, if she applies this match, will it be enough to take out Ruby Soho and proceed more further into the TBS Championship title? We'll see what happens then. Next up, we got the Wingmen, JD Drake and Ryan Menes teaming up with the Factory. Aaron Solo and Kamara to take on the Varsity Blondes, Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman Jr., teaming with Nightmare Families, Lee Johnson and Brock Anderson. I have to say it was a pretty good match, but I think the best moment is when Julia was trying to check up on her team. QT took it offense, like saying, "What the hell are you doing?" But of course, Arn Anderson pulled out the Glock and shot him, and in the process, Julia slapped him. Now, even though it was Brock Anderson who picked, it was the teamwork with Lee and Brock that allowed them to win. Not only for them to prove they are meant to be in a tag team division, but I don't know if this is going to be the end of it because QT will not let the stand that some girl slapped them in the face. Next up, we got Peter Avalon taking on, you know, Johnny Hungee. That's right, guys. John Silver. It was a pretty good match. A great powerhouse from uh until John Silver applied the spin doctor, and 1, 2, 3, it was already over. Next up, we got Sunny Kiss taking on Adam Grace. It's great to see Sunny Kiss back. Um, don't know if they dropped the storyline between him and Joey Janela because there's been certain talk that Joey Janela could be leaving AEW. I'm not sure, but we'll see about that later. But Sunny Kiss continues to impress all of us. Did some pretty good new moves I did not expect him to try, but it worked. I think it might show more of who Sunny Kiss is, and hopefully in the future we can see something good out of it. Next up, we got 10 versus Mikey Wild. You can guess that this one ended when 10 applied the full Nelson lock, and that was it. Next up, we got Scorpio Sky taking on Grave Knight. I'm just gonna skip it and say Scorpio Sky won. So that's how it goes in that. But right now, let's move on with NXT 2.0. Okay, so NXT 2.0, it opened up with Tony D'Angelo taking on Dexter Lumis. This match was set up when Tony D'Angelo sent one of those sleep with the fish. It's kind of like The Godfather. You've seen the movie where they send the the vest of Luca Bronston to the Corleone family, saying they killed him and he sleeps with the fishies. Well, this match kind of went in a different direction. Seems like Dex Lumis almost had everything under control, but somehow Tony D'Angelo applied a thumb in his eyes that did not allow him to see, picked up the victory. But however, Carmelo Hayes and Trick attacked him and they broke his arm by applying chair. Johnny Gargano came to save him, but this time it is no longer about the belt. This is personal until Pete Dunne showed up saying that he was the one who pinned him, which is true. So basically, and Carmelo Hayes decided to put them in their place, but he may have made a mistake. He decided to set himself in a match against both men at the same time, which is going to happen next week. Now, as you know, in these type of matches, he doesn't officially need to be pinned or submitted, but that's a factor we have to look at next week. Now, in the light of everything, Diamond Mine has been proven they've been dominant, and of course, I don't know what in the world Joe Gacy is doing. I don't know if he's trying to convert Diamond Mine into one of their members or something else. That to me doesn't make no sense, but he just showed up. But we'll see where they're going to go with that. However, Diamond Mine, consistent of Roderick Strong, Julius, and Brutus, take on Jacket Time, Ika Manjiro, and Kushida teaming up with Odyssey Jones. I have to say, the match was very intense. However, at what cost? with Broderick Strong picking up on Odyssey Jones. They did warn him out. He might have injured his ribs, but it was Odyssey Jones that picked up a very strong victory against them. Now, he may have lost many matches against Roderick Strong, but we'll see how that goes too. Now, I don't know what in the world Grizzled Young Veterans are doing. They decided to use the women's NXT tag team titles to con one of them, their grandma, their nana. So basically, they made a lie, but they did manage to return them to a toxic attraction by saying another lie. So basically, I don't know. They're really dumb. But I don't know where they're going with this. Now, next up, we got Chase Owens taking on Zaya Quinn. Now, Chase Owens could have picked up a very strong victory against Zion Quinn, but it was Zion Quinn who did it profusely, and that was amazing. But however, he did not have time to celebrate. He was viciously attacked by all members of Legado because he turned down the offer by them to join. Now, what does this mean? Will he get his payback against them? We'll just wait and see next week when that day comes. Now, Raquel Gonzalez, who's on the verge on vengeance against Dakota Kai, costing her the title and everything else. It appears that this feud is going to be escalated, and she said that she's going to bury her and everything else. Now, as you know, a couple weeks ago, Duke Hudson lost a poker game, and somehow, I don't know exactly what, somehow he did it. Cram and Grimes did it again. He bluffed them and basically lost everything. So basically, he got into his head. He didn't fix the game. He just played a lucrative gamble that you cannot expect him to do until Duke Hudson folded and realized what he did, what happened. He took it personally and he beat up Cameron Grimes and then cut the beard and the hair off Cameron Grimes, taking it too far. But there's also a chance we may see this feud take place. Now, as you know, recently there are those who are questioning Von Wagner and Kyle O'Reilly as a tag team. Now, they seem like a stable tag team, but they're not 100% efficient yet. And I know that the NXT champions are going to be keeping an eye on this, and that kind of feels they're not threatened. They feel like they're not even on their level. I mean, they could possibly win the tag titles, but we'll see where they're going to go. Now, speaking of tag titles, we have seen a video clip of MSK trying to find the Shaman, the one who named the team, and we don't know who he is. I'm kind of curious who this guy is. Now, in light of everything that took place earlier, Indy Hartwell was very concerned for the well being of Dexter after that vicious attack by Carmelo and Trick. So her best friend Persia told her, look, just attend Loomis's injury, his health. I'll take care of the tag team match. So she took out two people. I mean, it was very impressive that she pulled it off. In 2-on-1 is not an easy thing, but it did help. But also caught the eye of someone, Robert Stone. I thought that was the end of the guy since we all know that Jesse Kamea and Taya Valkyrie are no longer there anymore. But wow. Now, ever since Carmelo Hayes calls himself the new generation, that he is now the A champion, the guy who's the top champion, Grayson Waller decided to take matters in his own hands, saying that this is his generation, all of that. So now they're fighting for generational war, that sort of thing. But I don't know. But he seems like he wants a shot of the NXT title. But we'll see what happens. Now, in an interesting video interview by Dakota Kai, it appears like there's something odd with her. She said she's going to end her, that she feels like a shadow needs to be lifted. So basically, that's what she's going to do now. Toxic Attraction showed up, but I don't think Dakota Kai is interested. There is a part of me that sees Dakota Kai has one thing in mind, and that is to capture the NXT Women's title that Mandy Rose has. So she should be worried. Now, as you all know, I saw pictures on Instagram of Casey Canzaro and Kaden Carter going to EDC Orlando. I thought it was pretty cool that they talk about it, their time there. I think it was pretty awesome. I enjoyed it. But, they need to get back to the ring and finish what they need to do. Now, Tommaso Ciampa, who knows that he's sickened of the fact that no one is recognizing, none of the new generation are recognizing the NXT Championship as the the title. But it appears that this whole feud with Braun Breaker is not far from over. But Tommaso Ciampa made reference to the Steiner math, if you guys remember that. The Steiner math that made famous an Impact work by Braun Breaker's uncle, Scott Steiner. And I thought, it's going to be good. Now, our main event is Raquel Gonzalez versus Dakota Kai. It was insane, but it ended in a no contest thanks to the interference and beat down by Toxic Attraction. Tried to take her out because Raquel Gonzalez is the much bigger threat, but Cora Jade came out to help her. Everything seemed like they were going their way, but however, Zoe Stark shows up, but she didn't come alone due to the fact that she can't wrestle. And here comes Io Shirai with the clutch that Zoe actually handed her over. However, when they managed to clear house, Io Shirai said the infamous words, "War Games!" So that means we may see Toxic Attraction and Dakota Kai in one corner. In the other, Raquel Gonzalez, Io Shirai, and Cora Jade. But the real question, who will be their fourth partner? Because right now, there there is no possible way maybe Zoe Starks can make it. But I am very curious to see what's going to take place in War Games, and I hope everybody else too, because I love War Games. It's one of my favorite shows to watch from NXT. But let's just wait and see what's going to happen next week. So right now, I say let's go move on with some news updates. Okay, as you know, I talked about Actwres girls on the news updates. Apparently, not every the information that I got from Twitter is not 100% accurate. Apparently, there's been a bit more like, okay, what's going on? Not a lot of direct coming from the promotion, but however, the English account kind of, how to say, gave the information. So this is what I got. This is from their English channel. A little update on status. Mari has tweeted that At-Risk Girls is not going away, just the color and beginning brands. I don't know if this means that the At-Risk Girls will continue to run wrestling shows, or they just essentially be parent company to AEW and focus on that. I didn't create this account to speculate, so I won't. But Mari's tweet makes it seem like the end isn't inevitable. For now, I will continue the usual post, alert, bios, etc. Thank you all for the support. AW At-Risk Girls is special, and I'm glad to help to spread the word. Okay, let's talk about it a little bit here. What are they talking about colors and beginning? Now, I've seen many of their shows. Colors of beginnings, think of it, it's kind of like SmackDown and Raw in their perspective. It looks like they're shutting down those shows, but it's still unclear what else is happening. So Mari, who's one of their star wrestlers down there, looks like that's the information that we're getting. Looks like the not a whole like the entire show's not being shut down, but I don't know what to make of it. I feel like, okay, if they're not shutting down, what is the purpose? Are they gonna rename? Are they gonna refocus, reimagine? I don't know. That's like a lot of unanswered questions that needs to be answered. And so far, we only get a little piece of what the information is that is telling us. But for now, I think we'll find out as soon as the day comes. I will keep apprised of this. I will put a pin in it. And for now, let's just end it right here for all of you. Well, I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Right now, let's for tomorrow, or should I say Wednesday, we got New Japan Pro Wrestling with day two of World Tag League. We even got Major League Wrestling, hopefully with major with MLW Fusion Alpha, which I'm always excited, and we cannot forget AEW will be entering their Fallout in their latest Dynamite episode, and also will review a past event from early August by Pro Wrestling Noah, Departure. Uh, this is this is going to be really good to follow. But as for now, I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah, and have a nice day.